Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and we are continuing our way through Ongren here. Still in the forest, and well, then again, it seems as though it is only forest here. And so we have two big things that I think we're looking at here. It's either going to be this point of interest that we've not yet checked out. Seems as though it's right over this bridge, not really sure what to expect there. We do also know there's a battle over here, and, that one's perhaps a little more predictable, so I think maybe we target that one next. We've, of course, run into a few battles thus far. If we check to see if there's anything... Oh. Hold on a second. Oh, well, I mean, it's, like, technically, apparently, the way we're supposed to go here, but can't help but notice there does seem to be a bit of some hidden pathways, hidden areas. I mean, maybe we even saw this pathway before, but it did catch my attention. Okay, this looks a lot like an Ekimara. Perhaps quite similar to the enemy that we encountered previously. There is a golden chest behind it, so that's definitely something we'd like to pick up. So let's see what the deal is here. The previous Ekimara that we fought was rather difficult, I'd say. I mean, maybe some of that was just that it was the first major enemy that we fought here. Well, let's see. The broken bridge. The bridge connecting the two banks of the backwater had rotten through, forcing the Lyrians to circumvent it. Oh, that's true. We did see the broken bridge from the other side. The catacomb who prowled the area knew well of the bridge condition and, for this reason, hid just off the beaten path, never mind the fact that we made a point of seeking it out. Crouching in the thicket, it waited patiently, licking its fangs in anticipation. Okay, it's a standard battle, so much like, I think that was also the case with the previous Ekimara that we encountered. So, best 2 out of 3, just need to outscore them. And I would think we have a decent sense as to what kind of deck they're going to have here, but of course we'll find out soon enough. Before we choose our cards, let's see. Whenever a vampire is played, boosted by 2. I think that's even the same leader ability that we saw previously, even if the name might be slightly different. He's just blood drunk. Alright, so we saw that previously this combo, Tainted Ale plus Strays Infiltrator, was amazing against the last Ekimara that we fought. Definitely want to keep Best Boy in deck, so let's swap you out. Isbel, if we can wait long enough to get her on the board at the end of the match, ideally in round 3, then she could be worth a ton of value. They did, I think, have 1 or 2 Death Wish cards, so there's some risk there that her damage backfires a little bit. And also, she's relatively low power, and the previous Ekimara that we fought had some cards that could deal damage to our lowest card specifically, so that's also something we're going to want to keep in mind. Alchemist could be good setup for this Infiltrator, either to make it bigger when it's still on our opponent's side of the board, or once it's back on our side of the board, making something else the same number as that Infiltrator. As for Slingers, I think we've established that early round is quite difficult for us, because we aren't going to have enough targets for the Slingers to go after. Nothing for Alchemist, nothing for Infiltrator. Definitely don't want to be playing Isabel that early unless she's just hanging out on the board, but then we're asking for trouble. And most of this stuff we want to wait on as well. So let's try swapping out one of these guys. And Barnabas is also a card we kind of like to wait on as well. But maybe since we've already used a few of our redraws, we settle for this for now. And they do go first, which I think helps. This... Have we seen you before? Spawn 2 copies of this unit. Every turn on turn start, drain a random enemy by 1. Same thing here. Just this one is much higher power for some reason. I mean, the boost from their leader ability, yes, but... Huh. Okay, well, I mean, we could destroy both of these with leader ability. It's overkill damage, but that might still be worth doing since we're getting rid of their drain ability, so that's probably still the way to go. Then again, Slinger could just hit all of them and destroy them all, and then we can go after you. Yeah, I guess that's actually the best route then. Do that, and this feels like overkill, but okay. And the damage from these guys is almost enough already to finish you off. Alright, it gets boosted up as well. Okay. Seems that damage... Was that damaged? I mean, you hit something. Oh, does this ignore armor? I was gonna say, I was looking at our guys, and I was just thinking to myself, oh, everyone has armor. That's also nice that their first few hits aren't really going to do anything. But no, apparently not. You are also a 16. Now, you aren't going to get boosted any higher, but that's at least a half-decent target if we were to go Tainted Ale, but maybe we try to save that. And, I mean, there are maybe enough cards on the board that we would still be open to considering Barnabas here. So I think we want to save you, and we want to maybe save this combo. Definitely don't want to split that combo. Guess we'll try this out. I mean, there's something to be said for trying these footmen first in case we do want to swap them out. We don't really want to boost them and then still later want to swap them out, but I think we've established that these guys are pretty much an awkward fit no matter what.
Feel any burning? See a local healer or wise woman.
As things currently stand, damage the highest unit on the battlefield by 15, then boost the lowest. They do have the highest, but they also have the lowest. Almost, but not quite. Draw 2 cards, set power to 1. I think we blow through enough of our cards already that doesn't really work. Move 6 random enemies to the other row and damage them by 2. I mean, they have 3 enemies right now, not 6. And so these are the reasons why, generally speaking, we do want to wait to play Barnabas. We waited a little bit, but again, we just don't have very many good early round cards. So I think I mean, this is net 0. This is probably long-term not very helpful for us. So I think it pretty much has to be Crow's Eye. Get Best Boy out as well. Would love to finish you off. Oh, what is this? Move 2 enemies to the other row and apply Torrential Rain, which is gonna damage to random units by 1. Okay. Okay. Let's see. And they played first, so that's also something we could bear in mind, is we could potentially pass at some points, and, you know, if we're still in the lead, we could force them to play additional cards. For the most part, it seems like every time we've had a battle, our opponent has passed first, but we could Slinger and remove this Plumber, which is maybe not a terrible idea. Yeah, and they have enough targets with no armor that I would consider that. Would even move one of our cards out of the rain row, but that's probably not technically the best way to go about doing things. Okay, it's another Plumbered, right as we got rid of the previous one. Naturally. Okay, they are unfortunately, they've retaken the lead. So I was thinking we'd maybe consider passing soon. But unfortunately they have big stuff is in the middle. So the Alzur's Thunder just doesn't line up that well. I mean, we could destroy you and hit the adjacent Plumbered and destroy 2 out of the 3. It does seem like maybe that is the big thing with this deck that they're running, is less so the big powerful units that we saw with the previous Ekimar, and more so just lots of these little Plumbers that will drain us if we let them all stay on the board, and that's going to add up quickly if we don't address them soon. So I think there is something to be said for using an aggressive Alzur's Thunder. I wish we could destroy them all here, but I think this is still probably good enough to settle for that. Oh, right. Why did I think it was 15? But I think it was 15 on the main target, not just 10. Okay, well, they are going to be in the same numbers, so once we get our leader ability back, we could potentially still get rid of them. But also, maybe Northern Wind, although you're going to be out of Northern Wind range on our next turn, so I don't know, we'll see. So there's the draining. Slizzard, we've seen this guy, but not for a while, I don't think, and might be the first time in here in Ongren. Every turn start, increase counter by 1, damage random enemy by 2. Death Wish, and multiply this unit's counter by 3. Yeah, so generally, we've seen him in decks that are Death Wish decks that deliberately destroy him, but only after the counter has increased a fair bit and make him more dangerous. So it's kind of a matter of, you can take your chances and leave him alone, and the damage won't be that significant, or you can bite the bullet, get rid of him early before that counter gets too high, and shut off the potential for what could be a very late, very powerful source of damage. So, that is worth considering if we feel the need to get rid of that. Does seem as though it will be difficult to find a really big target for us to use with the Infiltrator. That was one of the benefits of the previous Ekimara fight. So we're considering Northern Wind. It would still destroy you and you. Not that that's a huge deal, but not as effective with other stuffs. Alchemist. We don't have anything that's particularly big. Would weaken you down to a 3, which is kind of interesting, but still not amazing. Next turn, in fact, we could weaken you down to a 4 when these guys become 4s after they're draining, and use leader ability to remove you, hit you, even if it's not going to be all that effective. Out of curiosity, Isabel, I'm surprised it's not higher already, but either way, it does make this turn a little awkward. Once again, we could blood and just see what we get, but that has raised some concerns in the past about us potentially blowing through too many of our cards too quickly and not having enough left to have enough cards in round 3. So, I mean, could we just go Infiltrator here next to the Arcane and really rely on Isabel in round 3? Maybe. Maybe it is still this.
Shh, talk it.
I don't love that. I do not love that. Especially because I'm not really sure we're going to be able to combine that with Tainted Ale. Because you're going to come back on this turn. But I did want to go Alchemist. I mean, technically it's not enough to remove you. It's just to line you up. It does weaken you, yes. But it does line you all up on 4, which makes for a nice leader ability. The other thing is that if we're going to leader ability on this turn, then obviously that means we have the chance of hitting the Infiltrator. We're not going to target it, of course, but the random damage from our Arbalest could either hit the Infiltrator and weaken it, destroy it if they both happen to hit it, or hit this Arcane and make it so it gets a smaller boost, which would also be unfortunate. So it's definitely not ideal. If we are to use Tainted Ale before this guy comes back, we would need to do it on this turn. So that's also unfortunate and kind of slow at this point. I'm not sure that's going to be fast enough. So, yeah, this maybe was not as well thought out as it could have been. I think we're still gonna do this.
Asks, you've not seen me.
Perhaps overreacting a bit, and naturally, you do get hit, of course. But you do come back. And that means we have a decent sized lead here, and they pass. Okay, so we'll win round 1, and in fact, oh, we have played one more card than them? Okay. Fine, be that way. Alright, so I'm thinking Isabel's going to be pretty important round 3. We just drew into Gabor, who could be a decent source of damage, especially to get rid of some of those bigger plumbers. Northern Wind could help with that as well. Slingers, also helpful for getting rid of the little ones in particular. The Tainted Ale, I mean, it's removal, it's slow removal, but without the Infiltrator, there's not as much of a synergy happening there. We could potentially dump blood, and if we feel the need for it, we could go after it with Gabor, because I feel like either getting Gascon or getting another Infiltrator to combine with this might be preferable. Not bad. But I'm not sure it's the best either. Alright, we're going to settle for this for now, though, since we're running out of redraws. And we, I think, are still going to dry pass here, meaning we aren't going to play anything because we won round 1, so we don't need to do anything in this round. And they will need to play at least something so that they cast Best Boy and don't just lose this match immediately. Water Hag. Okay, and they put it on the wrong row anyway. But it means the win round 2, that's fine. Alright, and there's the... Oh, I thought I saw an Infiltrator, did I not? There it is, okay. So yes, that does make things interesting. It does mean we need to be careful using the Bomber and the Northern Wind, but we could potentially set you up and combine you with Tainted Ale for good removal and a big card on our side, and then use Alchemist to get another big card on our side. We Bomber on the other row. Still like to have Gascon to benefit from the movement we've done. I guess it hasn't been that significant thus far, but if we do more movement here, then with these guys, then that will start to add up more. I suppose we could still stick with this, though. This will still work, I think. Okay, so that's the Slizzard. And as we were saying before, it may be the case that they are not really going to have anything that's super big, so that might not get much bigger than this. And as we were saying before, we may want to destroy this immediately, otherwise the damage is going to add up. It's going to keep on getting 2 damage every turn, and if they do eventually destroy it, then that could be a big source of damage for them. And Gabor is 15 damage, which is enough to stop you. Yes, we would take the hit, but it'd be quite small at this stage. So maybe that is the best way to approach it. And then, you know, we don't need to rush that much into finding something for Tainted Ale and the Infiltrator. So I think we just shut this off now.
Oh, good murderer.
Actually, I was going to prefer to put you on this side, but see, you know, the damage route. And it hits you, but technically speaking, that does set up Isabel for a little bit more value as well. Okay, so that's the card. That's the card we want to destroy with Tainted Ale, and we want to use the Infiltrator to get boosted from. We're off cooldown, or we can use our leader ability now, but of course, if we're going to destroy you anyway and absorb your power anyway, then it's 0 value to use it on you. So, I think, what, order of operations-wise, it's best to go Tainted Ale first, and then, after that, Infiltrator. Technically, the longer we wait, the bigger this is going to get, because it's going to drain both of these guys every turn, since they're tied for the lowest unit. But I think we'll still do this relatively early. So that first, no leader ability. Not until they get something else down. Then next turn it's going to be putting you next to it. Oh, that's another one. Okay, well, I guess we can go after you in that case. Let's do this. Just make sure we put you in the right spot. Lose self by powering the unit to the right, so we put you right there. Then we hit you. These two are going to go down really quickly. Okay, turns out round 1 was a little misrepresentative of what this deck is capable of doing, because, wow. Okay, well, we can set this row on fire, and we definitely should do that as quickly as possible. So let us begin with some of that. Down these two go. There is all the draining happening. You become a 34, though. What is this? Alpha Arcane? If in hand, deck, or on the battlefield, boosts up by 1 whenever an enemy takes damage. No, it's the opposite of Isbel. It's the anti-Isbel. Okay. Well. So we want to have one of our cards next to the Infiltrator and powered up with the Alchemist. Might even... no, we want to wait 1 turn and make sure that this Stray's Bomber is the smallest card, and then we do it to Isbel, because if we boost her up, she is going to be small, so we'll get a lot of value to turn her into a 34. However, we want to make sure that she's still bigger than whatever this is, so that she's not the recipient of the Catachan drain damage. Like, probably still live for 1 more turn, even if we are to play her right now, but just to play it safe. I think we'll hold off a little bit there. And it does mean probably Stray Slingering and moving some people out of the fire row, which I don't love. But we can then proceed to move them back into it on our next turn, so shouldn't be a huge problem. Yeah, because now you're dropping down to a 3. And you're going to get stolen. Oh, well. That's not ideal. Because that was supposed to be our sacrificial lamb. So we could safely get Isabel down here. But, okay. I guess now we'll move people back into the fiery row. And now these guys, I mean, they're going to get drained as well, but that is going to make Isabel stronger. Do you continue to gain power? No. Oh, yes. On the battlefield as well. Yep. Okay. So I was going to say, like, maybe by waiting to play Isabel after they played this, that Isabel's going to be more valuable. But no, this is a problem right here. And had we known they had this card, that would have obviously been the best target to go after with our guaranteed removal, but we did not know that that was going to happen. This is not looking good. Wow, this is a powerful deck they're running. 1, 2 Garcanes. Or rather, 2 Catechins, so 2 Leech. Isabel at this stage would be a 4. She'd still be lower than this Slinger, so we'd rather not do that. So, I mean, I think it's another stray Slinger here.
The white of an eye from half a league away.
And I think we're just moving everything into this row. And then it's gonna be, ideally, Isabel next turn. Use Alchemist to power it up based on the power of the Infiltrator. Damage with Isabel and finish with Northern Wind, basically. But they have a pretty big lead right now, so I'm not sure how that's going to play out for us. Stop seizing! Stop seizing! Goodness gracious. We need to play Isabel. Well, yeah, I mean, we basically need to play her on this turn. She will be the lowest card, so if they have more seizing, they're going to seize her. And then that means basically our entire strategy is for naught. So that's, you know, that's kind of a concern. A little worried about that. Otherwise, we're just hitting stuff here. We're not really going to remove anything. And we aren't getting boosted based on anything. We would like to have stuff be damaged, because that does set up Northern Wind for more power. So getting you down to the point where you're a damaged card, or you down to the point where you're a damaged card. So if you're going to get powered up every turn, so that's going to be kind of tricky. So I think hit you is technically the most valuable play. And then, because no one was lined up on the same number either. It's all just a matter of, does Isabel survive? Basically, and not get stolen. Obviously, if they steal her, it is very, very bad news for us. So, oh, also, was Isabel's name always with the black background here? Because this is the Nilfgaard color background for Gwent multiplayer. And obviously, she recently revealed that she was actually a Nilfgaardian, but maybe only once we got the Isabel Destroyer and she revealed her true secrets, her true past, did we learn that, or did she become this black background card? Because this is basically, you know, an admission of guilt of sorts. All right. I mean, we could Northern Wind now, I guess. It is less valuable compared to waiting till after Isabel, because presumably Isabel's going to make a bunch more damaged cards. And there will be more cards on the board if we wait to play this on our last turn, so I mean, I don't think we have much choice in the matter. Just make sure we put her in the right place. Set a unit's power equal to the unit on its left. So that means we want you to the left. We want you on the left of you. We want you here. Right?
It's not too late to walk away.
So she could be in serious trouble. And if she is, then we're in serious trouble. And we have automatically lost. We're about to find out. Oh, that was close. That was close. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Don't worry about it.
There's been a mistake.
Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Okay, I deliberately played you in a different row so that we would maybe bait them into damaging something else. That's their last turn. They still have a huge lead. Thing is, we have 50 damage from Isbel, and then we have Northern Wind, and they do have a lot of cards on the board. Is that enough? I have no idea. Now, actually, question of which one is better to play first. We want as many cards on the board and as many cards on the board being damaged as possible before using Northern Wind. So, on one hand, Isabel could get some of these guys down into damaged territory, pretty unlikely for you. But she also has a decent chance of just destroying some of these guys here, especially the weaker ones like the Slinger and this Garcane. And that means that we might reduce the value of Northern Wind in that case. So it might actually be best to do Northern Wind first. And I don't know. It might be close. Like, this is 50 points right here, which in theory gets us to, 124-ish. So that might be the difference here. It's just how that random damage gets split. But I think we still do this first. Technically, we might be able to do the math to figure this out, but I think we have it. I think we have it. As long as I don't have any unexpected Death Wish stuff, I don't think so. Oh man, that looked very bleak for a very long time. I am very surprised that we pulled that off. It did not feel like that was in winning range. There you have it. That is just how effective the new Isbel can be. And we certainly do have some loot here as well, in addition to, of course, the big thing, being this chest. Anything else? I mean, there's all these shields and whatnot. This looks like something, except apparently we can't loot that. All right. I suppose, if you insist. Now, what is this, though? That's the big question. It's Glusty Warp, which is, well, it's a multiplayer Gwent card. And so I believe, yeah, this is the animated version of the card in multiplayer Gwent. We heard some people mention Glusty Warp, which is apparently just the type of monster, not like the name of a specific monster, when we first got here. And of course, the name did sound familiar to me because I am familiar with the card in multiplayer Gwent, but we've not actually seen or encountered them directly yet in Thronebreaker. But of course, it is perhaps a very, very strong hint that that is going to be in the cards in more ways than one in the perhaps not so distant future. So these guys, as you can see here, hiding beneath the water, it seems. And little concerning, but there we have it. That is one more encounter done here. We still have this spot where we can pay what was a whole bunch of recruits to get some other resources here, but it just didn't feel like that was of immediate concern, and we could always use this fast travel spot to teleport back later if we needed to. So it looks like we are going to check out whatever the heck this point of interest here is. But otherwise, and this is a bridge that we don't need to build, so that really seems like that's the only thing we're looking for right now. So I guess in that case, let's go check it out. What could possibly go wrong, right?
The Lyrians came to a crossroads. As Meve and her scouts conferred about the proper path to take, a footman, of a sudden, collapsed upon the muddy ground. His comrades strove to rouse him. Alas, to no avail. Meve called for a medic. One arrived post-haste. He checked for wounds, a heartbeat, all else for which a medic checks. Then he peered down the soldier's throat. In a flash, he was on his feet, his hand over his mouth, backing away.
That doesn't sound like that's going in a good direction there.
What's with him? What's wrong?
The Queen asked, her eyes darting between the medic and his patient.
Typhus exanthematicus, Your Grace.
Replied the physician, wiping his hands with a spirit-soaked cloth.
Typhus fever.
Contagious?
Extremely, I fear. Though not yet at this stage. The spots are but in his mouth for now. Tomorrow he'll be blotched all over. It's then the disease turns infectious.
I see. What about a cure? Is one known?
I'm guessing the answer is no.
The medic looked at Meve, shook his head and shrugged. Alas, there was precisely naught he could do. But where medicine fails, magic may at times stand in.
Isbel?
Without giving it two thoughts, Meve called for Isbel.
It's typhus, I've no doubt.
The healer confirmed.
I know a spell that could be helpful.
Oh?
Vitals cleansing, we call it. It takes time to prepare and many ingredients. Rather costly, or
Okay, but maybe this is kind of like a check to see, as we were just talking about, we had that conversation recently with Isabel about how she is originally from Nilfgaard, and so there was that temptation, there was the option to say, all right, that's reason enough to kick you out from our group. But maybe this is basically the check to see, hey, if you did stay faithful to Isabel, then you can be rewarded by, well, having an opportunity for her to put her skills to good use here. We can pay Isabel 250 to prepare the spell, or refuse to pay Isabel for healing. So, I'm assuming that if we don't pay, we probably, get reduced morale, probably lose recruits, and I don't know, there may even be other longer-term story ramifications as well. Whereas in this case, obviously we're paying, but we avoid whatever other downsides may or may not exist from this. Maybe it's no big deal at all, and we can totally just refuse and move on, and we don't need to worry much about it. But I think we ought to just pay up here. We don't have anything that is super urgent for us to upgrade at the moment, but we're doing at least okay from a resource standpoint, so I think we can afford it.
Coins no object.
said Meve.
Get to work at once.
Isbel returned from the local herbalist with herbs valuable and rare.
Dare I ask where this local herbalist is and where they're from and how they're getting all this stuff?
She then pulled from
We're in the middle of the
bundle
woods.
a variety of vessels, funnels, retorts, alembics, carafes.
We've never been here before.
Colored concoctions she then brewed, steam and strange odors rising from them. Hours later, after much effort, she had a few drops of a thick substance in a flask.
And it's so vile that nobody wants to drink it, and so it doesn't matter that you made it, no one's gonna use it.
Isbel whispered an incantation, then gave the remedy to the dying man. His tremors and fever subsided at once, the other symptoms fading within hours. At last, Meve could breathe a deep sigh of relief.
Impressive. Very impressive. But, thing is, I mean, if this guy caught this disease, then, I mean, sure, it might not be, now that we've cured him of it, he might not be about to infect other people, but, I mean, how did he get it initially? If it's just the kind of disease that is all over the place here, then are we going to have to do this over and over again? I mean, hopefully not, but we'll see. And high morale from that, okay. And I imagine we probably avoided a lot of other really negative things that we don't know definitively, but I suspect at the very least. Let's take a look then at our map, because that was at least the most immediate of things that we expected to run into here. There is a puzzle over there. There's probably something else in this little town-like area here as well, but suppose we'll see. We don't know yet definitively, but I think either way, this is probably a good place for us to wrap up here, especially because we have this place we can now mark down on our map. I mean, it's not like these are very far away, to tell you the truth, but all right. I suppose it's a sign that we are making progress. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you then.